What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Let's jump right on in and start telling you everything you need to know about this John Deere XUV 560E. Now let's start with our model number here. Starting with the XUV here, this is going to stand for crossover utility vehicle. And on all of our Gators, whenever you see the XUV, that is what that is going to stand for. And then once we move back here to the 560, this is going to have a couple of different meanings. For one, whenever we look here at this digit, the 5, this is going to indicate that this is a mid-size utility vehicle. Now, the 560 is going to be an indicator of close to around the cc's that the engine has on these machines. So for instance here, this is a 560E. This machine actually has 570 cc's there on the engine, but it gets you somewhere close. And then here at the last letter, this is going to be our trim level indicator. So just like on most of our John Deere tractors and other things, these Gators can have different trim levels. The 560E is going to be in that E class, meaning it is the lowest in trim level and it's going to have the least amount of features. Since we talked about cc's in our model number here, I feel it's only right that we start with talking about the engine. Now, on the John Deere XUV 560E, this is going to have a V-twin gasoline-powered 16 horsepower engine on it. Now, this is going to be different than what you'll see in our larger Gators, such as the 590 and up into the 800 series, as those are going to have a 3-cylinder engine rather than a 2-cylinder engine like what is on this machine. Now, another difference here on this engine rather than the other Gators is that this one is going to be air cooled like a lot of your lawnmowers and smaller engine machines, whereas, like I said, when we get into those larger engine machines, those are going to be liquid cooled. Now, the engine and transmission are located underneath the rear box back here. So if we lift this up, you can see right there where the engine is at. And then we'll get into where your filters and oil fill are here in just a minute once we get into the cab. Now, these little 560Es are going to be great for using around the farm, around the ranch, and they are still going to have all of the hauling capability that you would have in a larger machine in that 590. So our cargo box here is going to be 32 inches long by about 48 inches wide and just almost a foot deep. And of course, you are going to have the raised wells here for the wheels right there for your fenders to raise up, so you will have that. Now, also on this cargo box, you are going to have the single-handed opening tailgate there. Very nice feature. This can be easily removed if you need to do so, and then you're also going to have tie-down hooks here in the bed as well. And then also with this cargo box, you are going to have the option with these holes here to be able to add in side rails right here on the side to add for extra tie downs and just a little extra barrier to hold stuff into this cargo box. Now, the cargo box itself is going to have a load capacity of 500 pounds, and then on this machine you will have a towing capacity of 1,500 pounds. Now, whenever we're talking about the towing, if we look down here at the bottom, this machine is going to have a 2-inch receiver on it. It does not have the receiver ball or anything that comes with it, but you do have that 2-inch receiver, so you can add what you like. It's also going to have a couple of tie-down points here that also are going to act as chain holders. So if you do have that trailer that you're pulling around, that small trailer, if it does have some chains, you do have a place to hang those chains. And then also you'll notice here at the rear that we do have the independent rear suspension. This is going to be true all the way around. This is going to have 4-wheel independent suspension. The nice thing about the independent suspension on these machines is just like all of the other Gators, these are going to have cast iron A-arms here on the bottom. And this is just going to add to the durability of this machine and to the life of this machine, as whenever we're talking about these Gators, one of the main things is that they are used heavy and hard on the roadways and on unpaved surfaces, on pastures and ranch lands and all these different things that are going to have that uneven terrain. So where the brunt of your force is going to take place is on your suspension. So it's very important with these XUVs and UTVs that we make sure and have a good suspension system on them, and you definitely get that with the 560E. Now, the 560E with that 16 horsepower engine is going to have a top speed of 28 miles an hour. It also is going to have 4-wheel drive on this machine, which is actuated by a switch here on the dash, which I'll show more here in a minute. And then it's also going to have a rear differential lock to make sure that all 4 of those tires are pulling the same when we get in those sticky situations. So just make sure and take note of that. This is also going to have a gear shifter here on the dash that has park, reverse, high, neutral, and low. So there is no parking brake that you have to pull on these machines. It is going to be integrated into your gear shift. Now, one thing that is going to be different whenever we're looking underneath the hood here at the front is that since this machine is not liquid cooled, you do not have the radiator components here in the front, which is going to open this up for a large storage unit. And this is also going to give you openings here to where you can get to your headlights. You'll also see that we have our brake fluid reservoir down here as well, and just give you an overall good opening here to all of your front suspension needs and anything else here on the front end of this machine. Very nice opening with this huge storage bin here at the front. Now, last thing before we hop in the cab and go over all of the controls there is our tire options. Now, this machine is going to come standard with these Terrahawk all-terrain tires on it with the steel rims, but you do have the option of going with the Maxxis Bighorn extreme terrain tires if you like, either on these steel rims or in the two-seater version of this machine, which is what we're looking at today. You can also get the alloy rims as well with those Maxxis Bighorn tires. So you do have some options there. These are going to be a great all-terrain option, but if you're looking for that more knobby, more rugged look to your tire, if you're going to be in those extreme situations, you may want to look at going up to the Maxxis Bighorn. So first, before we hop in, one thing that you're going to notice is that this machine does come standard with the vinyl doors here. So this is what's going to come standard on this machine, so you do have some sort of protection holding you in. Just keep in mind that you can add door kits to these if you'd like. These are going to be on these seatbelt buckle clasps. Very easy to take off and get those out of your way. And right over here, we're going to have our fuel fill over to the left-hand side of the driver's seat. This is going to be a 4.5 gallon tank, and it is going to have a sight gauge right here in front. So you will not have a fuel gauge on this machine up on the dash. That is a feature that you get up and into once you get into the M series of these machines. So once you move up in that trim level from the E to the M, then we get that fuel gauge here on the dash. Now, once we go ahead and hop in here, we'll go ahead and go over the controls here on the dash. First thing that you're going to see all the way over to your left is a choke knob. Now, this is going to look a lot like what you see on your lawnmowers, and that's because this machine is not fuel injected. So you will, on cold days, have to pull that choke to get this machine to start, but it is on a spring, so that choke is not going to stay up in the choke position if you forget to let it off. Then right above that, we're going to see a bunch of open pop outs here. These are going to be for all types of different switches, so all types of attachments you can add to this thing, whether we're going to add additional lights, maybe we're going to add turning signals, maybe we're going to add a winch. All of these different things we have switches right here at the front for. Then if we look right here in the middle, we are going to have our display panel here on the dash. So some of the things this is going to show, it is going to show our speed there in mile per hour. It's also going to show us the hours on this machine. It's going to show us what gear we're in our transmission, and then also it will tell us if we put the machine in four-wheel drive. Right there, it'll lock in those wheels. And then also if we lock our rear differential, we'll see a lock come up whenever it is locked into place. If we take both of those back out, then we'll see them both go away there on the panel. Now, as we move over to the right, we'll see our gear shift here that I was talking about. It is going to have the park position, reverse, neutral, high, and low right there. So very easy. We just push on the brake and we can change gears here. Very, very easy to get to. So that is nice. Now, above the gear shift, we are to the left, we are going to have our light switch here. These are just going to be single beam headlights. And then the two switches I was playing with there on the display panel, the 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive switch here, and the differential switch here. Over to the right of that, we are going to have a 12-volt outlet here. So if we need to charge our phone or do those different things in the machine, we do have that 12-volt outlet there. Right above the center of the dash here, we're going to have two cup holders here up in the front. Very nice to have there for whatever beverages you're going to be carrying on board. Then to the right over here, we are going to have a glove compartment. So right there, we've got that glove box where we can store all those different things inside. A lot of times on a new machine, this is where you're going to find your operator manual. So make sure to check for that if you are looking for that manual. Now, down on our floorboard, very, very open floorboard, floor design here. I really like this. It is big enough. I wear a size 11 shoe and I can slide in and out of this with no problem. The hump in the middle to where the drive components are going through not too bad. It is kind of nice to have that separation from your passenger so your feet aren't knocking around. So that is nice. But if you do happen to have to crawl over that, it's not too cumbersome to get up and out of the way. Now, some other things about this operator station in particular is we do have a couple of add-ons here that you have probably noticed. One is going to be the roof here, and then also we have a front windshield on this machine. Just keep in mind that whenever we are looking at these initially, these are not going to be standard features. These are going to be add-ons to this machine. Now, another thing about the operator station here is that we need to know that underneath the seat here is going to have a couple of things that we need to be able to get to. So underneath the seat here, this is going to give us access to our fuel tank on the driver's side. We're going to have a storage compartment there in the middle, and then over on the passenger side is going to be where we can get to our battery. Now, also right here in the middle, right behind our seat belts, if we pull off this panel here, this is going to have our oil fill and our oil dipstick for our engine right there, easy to get to. Now, speaking of the oil fill and oil dipstick, let me also show you where the air filter is, and that is going to be right behind the back of your seat here. You're going to have this housing that has these different rubber clasps on it here that you can just take these loose, pop this up and out, and this is going to give you access to your air filter. Now I'll go ahead and start this bad boy up so you can hear how it sounds. Now right there I was able to start it up without the choke because I have ran this prior to just now. But if we go ahead and rev it up just a little bit. All right, here we're in that park position. We go up one, we're in reverse here. Go up to high. Really smooth running for a 2-cylinder machine here. Sometimes what you get with that is a lot rougher running machine, a lot harder, a lot louder machine, but this actually isn't bad on the noise and pretty smooth there at the engine. Now, some of the things here about the driving features of this machine. Since this is a E model, or an E trim level rather, this will not have power steering on it, and it is not available as an option. If power steering is something that you want, you're going to need to look up into the 590M series of machines. Now, another thing too is that this is going to have a speed limiter on it whenever you do not have your seatbelt on. So you'll notice whenever you turn the machine on that once you have the key on, if your seatbelt is not on, you will have the seatbelt icon here. And if you do not have this on, this machine will not go over 5 miles an hour until you have that seatbelt buckled. So if you get into one of these new machines, you don't put your seatbelt on, you try to take off and the machine starts to stall out, don't worry, that is normal. You just have to put your seatbelt on to be able to go faster than 5 miles an hour. So make sure and keep that in mind. This machine here is going to be the standard John Deere green and yellow, but just know that in these machines you do have the options of going with the olive and black or also a camo option as well. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about warranty and price of these machines. So the warranty on the John Deere Gators is going to be a 12-month 1,000 hour, whichever comes first, bumper to bumper warranty. And then you do have the option of purchasing additional warranty, which is called Power Guard, that you can add to these machines. Now, price on one of these XUV 560Es, these are going to start around the $12,500 mark and go up depending on what attachments you add to them. Now, that is going to be list price on these machines. And what I always suggest is that whenever you're looking at one of these, make sure and reach out to your local dealer, have them spec one out for you, add any of those attachments, because you will get the best price depending on any discounts or incentives that may be going on with your local dealership. So make sure and check with them. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also guys, if you're needing any John Deere parts at all, make sure to check us out at 247parts.com. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.